So this video is a follow-up to what we initially built for our clients that wanted an Airtable workshop booking form with some conditions. But once we finished building it and we shared with the clients during the conversation, uh, ideas like sending confirmation by email to the registrants came in, and we also wanted to send reminders to these workshops. So we had to come back again to the board and try to address those two concerns. If you haven't watched the first video, I'm going to link it in the description. And of course, if you also don't use Airtable already, there will be a link for you to create a free account on Airtable so that you can try these things yourself and really get your hands on with the entire build. So, what are we trying to achieve here? Two things. So, first, we need to send email notifications to the people once they register, and also we need to send them a reminder uh, based on the defined time. So, this time we'll just jump back into the Airtable, and as you can see again, we have the data from the previous interaction. Most of these emails are actually dummy emails, so there might be a lot of errored responses. I think we should use at least one real email address, but we will see to that. And then we also need to go to the workshop table and look at the dates because we need to send reminders. So what we're practically going to do now is to add additional fields. So we will try to work with what we already have. The first thing we need to do is to define when we want to send the reminder. Is it going to be 1 hour before the event? Is it going to be a day before the event? Um, I think 1 hour before the event would be fine. So let's try to do that. What I'm going to do first is to add a field uh, or even change the way the data already looks on the table. So maybe we don't need to separate the start time from the main date of the event, so it's easier. This will not break what we've already built, so I'm really thinking of it from a logical standpoint. Instead of having the start time elsewhere, we can just put the start time with the dates. So if you open the date field, you can see that Airtable gives you that opportunity to just include the time, makes the whole build easier. If you want to go further, you can work with time zones. I'm in Europe, so I'm just going to select Europe Prague time zone. I don't want the default. I don't want to display the time zone. I just need the date and the time. By default, since it's a UTC time format, it's going to default to 12 a.m. So now let's fix those based on the information we have. So let's change this to 9 a.m. Change this to That's 1300 hours, so that should be 1 p.m. And the last one should be 10 a.m. Great. So now we have the dates and the time in the same field. We can delete this if we want. I think we really didn't make any reference to this field anywhere, so we can either delete it or just use it for something else. And that's what I'm going to do. So I will just change this to a formula field so that we can define when we send out the reminders. So let's first of all rename it. So let's call this the reminder time. And we're going to change this to a formula. And what do we want to do? We want to add or subtract 1 hour, actually subtract 1 hour from the time of the event so that we can use that to trigger the automation. So the first thing we need to do is a date add. Airtable has made most of these things very easy for us. So the date add formula, and then we're going to bring in the date field, and then what do we want to do? We want to subtract 1 hour, so it's going to be -1. If it's 2 hours, you just need to use 2, 5, whatever it is. So we want 1 hour, so 1, and then what do we want? Hour, week, days, year, months, you decide. In our case, we just want an hour, so we're just going to say we are working with an hour, and then we close the formula. I'll show you something. So if we save this the way it is, you can see that it just defaulted to this because again we're using the predefined time zones and the rest, so it just changed to the UTC format, the local time zone. So 20, from here was year, month, day, and here it's month, day, and year, and you can change this depending on how you want to display it. So let's, I think with the date formula, it also gives you this opportunity to change. So we can either make it friendly, US, European, whatever you choose. I'm going to choose European, I think, or should we, so that it's just kind of the same. Let's choose ISO so that it looks the same, easier. So both are looking exactly the same. So when you look at the dates now, you notice something right away, right? You can see that the main date is 9:30, and now we have 8:30 because we subtracted 1 hour. Same here, 1 p.m. now becomes 12 noon, 10 a.m. and noon, 9 a.m. So this is the field that we are going to use as part of the trigger. So the system knows that, okay, it's 1 hour before that event, and we need to send that reminder. Good. So this part is done. I remember we had some lookup fields, so let's go to it. We are now back in the participants table where people actually get to register. But now, since we've added that reminder field, we need to bring it here so that we can see which of the events was registered and what reminder time we have for that particular event. We will also create some additional fields here, so let's jump right into it. If you remember from the first video, we created this lookup or roll-up field just to kind of make that reference. So we're going to do a very similar one. So let's create a new table. So I like, again, I use roll-up a lot. I will use roll-up. We are selecting from the workshop table because that's the only one we have. And now we are going to bring in, you guessed it, the reminder time. I don't want array unique, so again, I'll just use a concatenate, so it gives me like just this. And once you look in here, you can see we can rename this to whatever we want. So just to make it easier for referencing, I will choose this. So once you're looking at this, you can see that for intro to design, our reminder goes out at 8:30 on October 10th. Advanced coding, our reminder goes out at 12, and so on. So it matches the reference we made there. So intro design, you can look at these two, they will have the exact same time for sending out the reminders because they are the same workshop, and the project management will also be exactly the same because we're just referencing those fields. So I think you get it. And now we need to also, there are different ways to build this, but in my case, I always like to have manual checks, right? So I will call this field, let's use a checkbox or select. Select looks more visually appealing, so we can just use a single select, and we call this reminder sent, and we can just say yes or no. and we'll make the default no, because once someone registers, we don't send them a reminder, right? So until the condition is met. So, but later you will understand why. And so we're saying if reminder, this is just a select field, and the options will be yes or no only. And before we even send a reminder, I think the first request was for us to send the confirmation. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to, let's just duplicate it and then rename it. So let's duplicate this field and call this one confirmation sent. So let's just change this. So this is confirmation sent, and again, it's the same structure, so it's just a yes or no, but you will see more reasons why I like to put it like this. So I'm just going to bring this a bit forward because it's the first thing that happens, and then the reminder will be the second one. So I think those are the 2 or 3 basic fields we need to add. So we need to do some basic, we can add some views if you want, to just kind of make the whole thing easier. So we can come back here and let's create some views, or we can just duplicate it, but let's just create a view. That's why not. And let's say confirmation sent. I like to write these things like this because too many spaces in between sometimes breaks the whole build. I like to use a camel case as it's called, although if the first one is supposed to be a smaller letter, but I just write it like this for me. It's easier for reference. And then I will come to the filter, go to condition. What is our condition for confirmation sent? It means we want to either filter out views where confirmation has been sent or confirmation has not been sent, right? So we can just click on yes, and now only items where confirmation has been sent will be on this view. Similarly, we can also just duplicate the field and just call this one confirmation not sent. This is just in case you want to have multiple views. In my case, I will just probably do it somewhere else. But yeah, and in this one, we will say confirmation is not yes. So if it's empty, if it's not yes, it means confirmation has not been sent. So it's very similar. We will just duplicate it and do the same for the reminders. So let's just duplicate that one and call this one reminder sent. This is just again trying to reduce the use of too many formulas. This cannot be achieved really easy with formulas, but that would get a bit complicated. So here we're saying reminder sent is yes, and then we'll do reminder not sent, where it will be if it's not yes. So we'll just say reminder sent is not yes. So you can easily move these items around. And finally, we can add one more view since we are in the spray of the views. We can just duplicate one and call this one. Actually, we can add two. So this one we can call send confirmation. And I think we don't need this one because we're going to use the confirmation not sent to send the confirmation because it just kind of goes right away. So what we need a trigger for would be for the reminder. So let's use the send reminder instead, so we don't have too many fields. So now that we've created the send reminder view, we need to create the conditional field that's going to help us determine if this is the right time to send the reminder. What I like to use here is a formula field. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to create formula field, and here we can actually use AI. So since it's there, let's use it. Normally I will have to write this out myself. So what's the description that we want? We want when the, I'll just put this in brackets so it's easy. So when reminder set is not yes, oh, I think I wrote this somewhere. Let me just paste in. Yeah. So it says returns send reminder if reminder time is within the current hour and reminder sent is not yes. So let's try to create this formula. Good. So what it's basically doing is first it's checking for the time to see if our reminder time is within the hour, and if not, um, and it's also checking if the reminder is not yes. So if the reminder is yes, it returns blank, but if it's empty or no and it's within this hour, it will show this send reminder. So let's save that field. Maybe we can, yeah, I think this is fine. We can leave the name that the AI generated for us. And right away we can already see that some items are showing send reminder. My local time is about 11, and if you look at this reminder time is for 10, so it's still within the hour. So I think if it changes, it's going to go away. And let's test the second condition. The second condition was that if this is yes, so it's blank. So let's assume this reminder is sent. You can see send reminder is no longer visible. So this is a good way to create the filter. So I'll just leave this at no so that we have send reminder, and I think it's showing for the events that we have for about that time. So this particular workshop, advanced coding, the reminder time is within this. So those three that are showing up from the same workshop. Based on this send reminder time, we can now go ahead and create a filter. So we can go to filter, add condition, and send reminder status contains send reminder. Good. So now we have a good system that tells the automation when to send that reminder. And I think this is more of the technical build itself. So let's go ahead and look at the automations. Airtable gives you some automation, not as complex as flexible as other tools, but this is quite sufficient. So let's do our first build, a trigger. Let's build first for sending the event confirmations. So when someone registers, they receive a confirmation. So when we can choose from different views, but in this case, since we already created like particular views, let's use views. We can also use conditions, form submitted as well. Record is updated and all of that. So we have in our use case here, we have almost 3 items that we can use, but since we created the view, let's use that. So Airtable will try to guide you through it, but we don't need that. The first thing I like to do is to rename the automation. So this one is send confirmations. Just put that. So we choose when a record enters view. So first thing we need to do is which of the tables are we working with. In our case, it's participants. And which of the view. Remember, we created these different views. So confirmation not sent is our condition. We can choose a particular record for the test, or we can use any suggested record, which is what we will use now. So we just clicked on it and showed us a registration that matches that condition. If there is none, it will show an error and it will not show the step successful. So now that we have a test data, let's go to the next step, which is the action we want to perform. Airtable again gives you some basic setup here, so we can send an email, create record, update record, and all of that. And what we're going to do in this case is to send an email. If you use this send an email, it's only going to be able to send emails within email addresses that are linked to this particular Airtable. So this is not what we're going to use. We will use one of these other external integrations. So you can see we have Slack, Microsoft Teams, and all of those, but in our case, we'll just use Gmail. I don't think I've synced the Gmail here, so it might ask us to do some alt stuff, which is basically authenticating the account. So let's click on here. You can see it's asking for us to connect the Gmail account. So let's go ahead and do that. So click. It's going to try to authorize the account. So we go there, we click, we give Airtable the rights that it needs, we continue, and boom, we're done. Straight ahead, very simple. Now we need to bring in the fields that we want to use for our email. So the first thing is to look up the email because we want to send it to that particular person. So once we click there, it shows us the Airtable field. So we need to go ahead now and look for the record. So in our case, we're looking for the email address. So we'll just choose that email. And then the subject. We can also bring in the subject, which will be the name of the event. So let's go and see if we can find that event. Here we have it. Selected workshop, so intro to design. We can put that right there. And then we can add some text. So let's say that registration was confirmed. So it's going to take the name of the workshop and then add registration was confirmed. And then the message itself, so we can say hi, bring in the registrant's name. So let's bring in Alice Johnson and say your registration for let's again bring in that workshop name. It just makes it a bit easier so we can reference them, properly. Was received. Please make time to attend. Thanks. Let's say host, for instance. Easy. We can bring in more things. We can do some customization using Markdown, but again, that's just a bit of the scope of the video. So let's just use this. We don't have any attachment to add. So let's generate a preview so we see how the email is going to look. So we click here. It's going to try and voila. So here you can see intro to design has been dynamically filled in. And it also filled in the name of the participants. And again, we have the intro to design here. So if it's a different workshop, it will also kind of fill in those places dynamically. So that one is also done. And what we want to do, remember we have conditions that are checking this field. So we need to let the system know that we've sent an email to this person. So what we're going to do is just simply update that field. So we use the update record. And then again, we need to select what record we want to update. So we go back to participants. For the record ID, we need to do a reference to the first source, so it knows exactly which record. So we are kind of referencing the source here, which is when a record enters a view. So we would choose that particular Airtable so it knows exactly the record. And then we choose the field we want to update. In this case, we want to update that we have sent them a confirmation. So we go here and we say yes, which is just one of the things we selected. So let's preview that again. And you can see the only thing that changed here is the confirmation sent button. So I think this part is complete. So what we just need to do, you can test the automation if you want, which we can do. Just click here Let's select a different workshop so that you can see that the fields get in dynamically. So let's select this one with Bob Smith and advanced coding. So if we run the automation, it shows that it was successful. And if we go to the data tab, it's showing us that it's not live. We know we will come back and update it later. But you can see that now we have this advanced coding for Bob Smith showing as confirmation sent, which means now if we go to our confirmation sent filter, we will have that item for Bob Smith showing that we've sent them that invitation. Easy. And once that is sent, this will not resend it because again, this is where this view and the filters come into play, so we don't have repeated actions. And once you've gotten that, we just click the confirm and that automation is live. So every time the record matches that condition, the system is going to run. And now let's set the reminder. So we create a new automation. We call this one send reminders. And again, very similar, we will go with a view. We choose table. We choose send reminder. I don't know if we have a record that matches, but yeah, I think we have a record that matches this condition. Earlier we saw like 3 items, right? So again, the same thing, come here, we choose our Gmail, send email, we choose the account we want. Since we already authenticated that, we don't need to do it again. So very similar steps to what we did earlier. We bring in the email, we write our subject, we bring in the dynamic field, which is the workshop name, and maybe we put the is happening soon. And just like we did again, we bring in some items. So the name, so we say hi name, this is a follow-up, this is a friendly reminder that your workshop is starting within the next hour. Please do make yourself available. Thanks. And again, host. And just like we did before, we can also bring in that item. So I'm just going to make a space there and bring in the workshop name. So we can bring in as many information as we want. If we had linked or created like the venue, time, and the rest into this participant table, we can add all of that information. If there's a link to the workshop, maybe it's a Zoom event, we can also bring in that link and dynamically add it here so the participant gets that directly in the email. So let's do a preview again, and here we can see a reminder for advanced coding workshop is happening soon. Hi Bob Smith, this is a friendly reminder that your advanced coding workshop. So you can see how the dynamic fields are coming in and pulling in that information correctly. And just like we did again, we just need to update that record to tell the system that we've sent that email reminding the participant. So again, we bring in the Airtable record, and in this case we want to just update the reminder sent. Yes, we do a preview. It shows us that it changes that from no to yes, and confirmation sent is already yes, so it's all fine. And that's it. This one is also good. If we want, we can test that automation. Here we have 3 records matching. So in our case, we have 3 items that are due for reminder sent. So let's run that. I think we choose Lucy, Tony. So if we go to our data and we go to reminder sent, we should have 1 item that we've sent the reminder to Lucy. And you can see that reminder sent is also yes, and now the send reminder is now more visible. Let's look at the other ones. So initially, remember, we had 3 items, and because we haven't sent this reminder to the rest of the persons that match that condition, we still have 2. So if we turn on this automation like we did before, everything is now going to run, and that's how the reminder is going to work. This is not kind of working now because I already set them before I set the automation. If I change the dates or just make some changes so that it comes back into this view, then it's going to trigger it. Another condition I can add here optionally would be this send confirmation sent. So I want to also always ensure that the people that get into this view are people that have already received the confirmation, because it wouldn't make sense to just send them a reminder. And since we are testing some of those things we initially had coded, so let's just continue. And we are good. So now only items that had that confirmation sent will be there. So let's go ahead and do like a quick manual trigger, because I think we have one person still on this queue. So we have David. David is also registered for advanced coding, but we didn't send him a confirmation because we built it before then. So let's manually trigger that we've sent him a confirmation. So let's go ahead and say, okay, we've sent David a confirmation. What this will do, it will now move David from this view into the send reminder view, because it will now match the condition that confirmation sent is yes, reminder sent is not yes, and send reminder is active. So let's do that. It will move David there, and right away you can see the automation has run, and it has now marked David as yes because he has received that reminder. So let's go and look at the people who've sent our confirmation. You can see that we sent that confirmation to David and to Lucy right here. So now that this automation is on, every new registration that happens for this workshop will have that whole system set up. So let's go ahead and try it. Where do we have our event registration? Should be one of these forms. I think all the events are closed, so let's kind of improvise here. Let's change this to 3 so that it will let me register one more person. So now we have 3. The status has moved from closed to open. So let's open the form. I think that should be the only event. So project management is open. And then let's say Samuel, though I know my Gmail is going to send a lot of errors because of all these random emails that don't work. So let's say Samuel at test.com, and let's put a random phone number again. We already choose the workshop, so we're just going to submit. Great. So now if we go back to the data, you can see something is actually really happening here in real time. We just added Samuel to this project management workshop. Let's go to all. You can see we have Samuel as a new person and their details, and Samuel already has a confirmation that was sent to them. And reminder sent is no, and that workshop is not happening now, so we don't have to send, or this condition for sending reminder is not met. Let's look at the automation history. I think the last one we did was send confirmation. So if we go to history, we can see the items that ran successfully. So this one just ran. I think we can open it and see the details. And here we go. So Samuel registered. We got a new record. This is Samuel's information and the email content that we sent to him. You can see that that email was sent, and once that was sent, we updated the record to show and move Samuel to confirmation sent. And yes, guys, I think that's it. And that's how to build the whole system and get the reminders and the notification. So let's also just tried this for Bob, who is here. So now Bob gets a confirmation sent, and now you can see that it also triggered the reminder sent because Bob was already in the send reminder positive condition. So I think this is where we wrap up the video. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch. If you do have any comments or concerns, or you have business use cases where you want us to build automation like this for you, please just leave us a comment. If you don't have Airtable already, I will also put the link in the description so you can sign up for Airtable and try to get your hands on all of this kind of stuff. If you're learning, this is also a good practical example you can use. Create your own scenarios, build your own automation, and show your clients that you can build something on Airtable. And of course, you can also use it in your day-to-day life and operation. So if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel, and we will really appreciate if you like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and stay focused.